represent Distributech 2023, one of the sponsors of these interviews, and these are interviews with thought leaders from around North America and the globe. Our sponsors are H2 Scan. H2 Scan is the leading sensor manufacturer for hydrogen sensing in a lot of different applications, in transformers, in battery room safety, in processes in safety, in industrial, and in the future hydrogen economy. So I want to thank our sponsors, and I want to thank all of our guests, and I hope you enjoy this interview. Well, I have two exciting guests that we're here at Distributech. One of them is Claudia, and the other one is Claudia, and I am not making that up, okay? They're from General Electric, and first of all, let me start with you, Claudia. I can't make that, let me start with you, Claudia. No,
you can't miss the name.
I can't miss it, right. So there's only one Alan here. Claudia, tell me a little bit about your background in the power industry and your time at GE.
Okay, perfect. So the two actually are the same. So I started with GE 20 years ago in the power industry.
No, you're only 29 years old. What were you, 9?
I know. Hey, don't get me started there. So I started as an engineer.
Okay.
No, I'm actually a mechanical, electromechanical
No, I'm mechanical,
engineer.
but anyway.
So I graduated mechanical engineering, but with automation and control as the major.
Oh, you had to one-up me, did you?
Yes. So I started as I said, as an engineer. I moved into product management shortly after that.
Okay.
I did because I was interested in how businesses run and how you make money. I got my MBA in marketing, and today I am the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer for Grid Automation, and I also lead one of the product lines for Grid.
Excellent. I noticed something. So you wanted to save the world when you were an engineer, and then you got your MBA and you wanted to make money.
Well, I think you need to save the world and make money at the same time.
You got to be economically regenerative, right? Okay.
Exactly.
And Claudia, again, thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Okay, tell me a little bit about your background in the power industry and your time at GE.
Right. So, well, let's say I have 25 years in the industry.
Okay.
But I started in automotive business.
Okay.
And I started in the power business 12 years ago when I joined the wind business.
Okay.
And actually I joined this business more on the manufacturing side. So I was a global manufacturing director to grow the wind business on onshore and offshore at that moment. And then I moved to multiple areas of advanced technology, more for a global renewable business. And recently I joined, like in 2018, Grid Solutions. Okay. And actually my background, I'm industrial engineer, mechanical, but I did also computer science. Okay. So I kind of those engineers that anticipate the digital world will fit well with mechanical. And I did my MBA as well because I wanted to grow a business afterward.
Okay, you can't one-up me. I did my MBA too. Okay, so we all realize there's a business to be made here. One of the things, 2 years ago here at Distributech, all you saw was IoT. You don't see it anywhere, right? 1 year ago, all you saw was drones. Drones were everywhere. You only see one drone exhibitor here. But it points up, it's not that they went away, it's the fact that they're being adopted, they're being brought into the industry. I have never seen the utility industry go through as much change as it's going through right now, which is brilliant for us, right? Change means need, they have needs. Another thing is that you have fewer people because we all have staffing issues. We're having a hard time hiring people. What are some of the other issues that you're seeing as it relates to the problems, the challenges that the utility industry has? Let me start with you, since you're the Chief Technology Officer.
So before I get into the problems, I just want to maybe recap what is going on, right? So we have decarbonization as a target, right? We have goals established around the globe by different governments, different companies. They want to be net zero in 2030, 2035. A big part of achieving that is integrating a high level of renewable generation into the grid.
Yeah.
The other trend is electrification of industry, transportation and industry. You see that being pushed. Electric vehicles, we want to have more and more of those. We have more and more extreme weather events, cybersecurity attacks. All this requires the grid to be modernized, and that's driving some of the problems that we're seeing. And when we engage with our customers, we hear them repeat these problems. So first, at the distribution level, there are more distributed energy resources, DERs, integrated, many times without the utilities even knowing that they're coming. And that becomes difficult for the utilities because they can't operate the grid without having visibility. So they need visibility and flexibility at the distribution level. For transmission, you do have renewable generation integrated onto the grid, and what that does, because they're variable and intermittent, they create grid stability issues, grid stability, grid reliability issues. Another problem that needs to be solved is because of variability and intermittency, now you need to be a lot faster with the controls. And so digitalization and automation. These are two big problems that need to be solved. And then grid resiliency. As you have extreme weather events or cyber attacks, you need to be able to recover very quickly from those events so that you minimize the impact on customers. And how many customers do you have impacted?
That was really good. Can you add anything to what Claudia has just said, Claudia?
I think to what she just said, something that is very important is to make sure we understand what are the problems were to be solved, right?
Yeah.
For what we call the grid of the future, what is now, right? It's happening now. So to do that, as Claudia said before, we needed to do a research, listening to our customers, listening to the industry, and that helped us to really identify which were those problems that for us help us to prioritize and be complementary to the strategy we were putting in place, right? As a next step for innovation, we prioritize based on urgency, right? Based on scalability. Because we cannot solve a problem that is just a problem for a place, for a region, for a customer, but something that can help. And in collaboration, that was so important because we think we are ready to collaborate and we are not, right? So what means collaboration? Collaboration means that to solve big problems, as the one that we are gonna have soon, we need to do it in partnership. We need to do it summon, right? From generation to transmission to distribution and consumers, because a problem of one is a problem of the rest now in the grid of the future. So we saw really, really good learnings by talking to our customers and involving them on selecting as well how to solve those problems. The complexity of that is really, we have a problem, we have multiple ways to solve them, so, but which one is really the most efficient?
There are multiple silos, right? And one of the silos is generation, transmission, distribution. Those silos have to be broken down, partly because the car driving down the street is a problem. It's part of both, right? And everything is changing. We got a report, Bloomberg does this quarterly upgrade on electrification of transportation, primarily passenger vehicles, and they reported in their latest report that they were wrong. Whatever they said was the scale of electrification adoption, this talking in the United States, they said it's 2.4x that. So suddenly if you're a utility and you think it's X and you're just told we were wrong, it's 2.4x, get ready for it. It's that point of you're going to have the utility has to understand what the industry is doing, right? Now, there's also silos, and GE is a major player. GE Vernova, and I'm going to ask you to explain that. GE Vernova is a major player globally in the power industry, right? But that's one of the players. There are other players, some of them small, medium, other big organization in there. They can't be siloed either because there is no one size that will fit the globe. Right? Everybody's going to do it. And we can't have one utility doing it one way in one area and somebody else doing it completely, and they don't communicate. We already have the problem that the utilities in the United States, to a large extent, cannot share information by law, because there was something set up years ago that said, oh, no, that's a bad thing for you to share information. Now we're saying to them, share information, right? So we've got a lot of change going on, policy changes. The IRA spending billions of dollars, and by that's a stupid name, Inflation Reduction Act, got nothing to do with inflation. All of those changes, those are the problems that are exactly what you just said. Now, what's the solution? Talk to me about I'm that utility. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I can't hire people fast enough. People are retiring. Everybody's yelling at me. Fix it. GE Vernova.
Yeah. So I think, first of all, there is no one solution.
Okay.
And just to comment on what you said, I think there are silos, and we cannot have utilities do different things.
Right.
But the reality is that they will.
Yes.
And so and so the grid will evolve depending on the specifics of the region, of the country, of the utilities. It will depend on the government regulations, on the market design. So there's a lot at play here that will influence the way utilities will adopt some of these technologies. But the one solution, if you want, or I wouldn't even call it a solution because it's more than one, but
Okay.
I would categorize it as digitization and automation.
Okay.
I think you want to start there.
Okay.
So in order to do everything that we want to do with the renewable integration into the grid, while you do that, you want to keep the grid stable, you want to keep it reliable, you need to have eyes on the grid. Right, so you need to have as much information from the grid as possible so that you know at any point in time what is going on. And you do that with intelligent sensors. So that is the first thing. What we are talking about with some of our customers is the next generation of a digital substation.
Ooh, I like that. Next generation.
Next
You're talking
generation.
about iPhone from a rotary phone, right?
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Exactly.
Tell me about your new iPhone.
And we call it next generation
Okay.
because we have been digitizing the substation
Yeah.
for the last
Yes.
number of years. The reality is that it's not adopted, and not at the scale that we were expecting it to be. And the reason for that is we haven't really looked at it from an end-to-end solution. We were really just selling it
Right.
on certain benefits that
Parts
didn't
and
really.
pieces.
It was just not compelling for our customers. And what we're saying now is we do want to look at it from an end-to-end solution. We want to offer these intelligent sensors as part of the solution. We want to have an integrated digital model of the network within the reach of the substation.
Okay.
We want to have virtualization of some of the functions. So you have protection, control, automation in the substation. Protection maybe it will be a little bit later, but control and automation, we can virtualize that, which has its own benefit. And on top of that, so if you think about it as a technology stack,
Yeah.
on top of that, you can add now advanced automation applications, such as wide area protection and control, or dynamic system rating,
Okay.
something that we've been talking about this week with a lot of customers and generated a lot of excitement. So this is what I would say is a solution that is flexible, it's scalable, and you can apply it to solve multiple problems for utilities.
One of the big problems you're going to help solve is people problems. I mean, the system's going to have to tell you what's wrong with the system or how to handle the system, because Larry's not sitting there anymore. He retired, and they replaced him with a kid.
Absolutely.
Right, so
yeah.
we
We will have part of the full solution. We will have the machine learning, artificial intelligence technology to help with decision making. You collect all this data, what do you do with it? And because you're going to have more data, the human brain is actually not going to be able to process it all. So we do need the technology to help.
Yeah. Comments on anything that we're talking
Yeah, that bring to my mind, you mentioned about drones, right? New technologies needs to also be adopted
Yeah.
So how we prepare the users to adopt those new solutions as well. We cannot miss also this piece of the equation, right? So I remember implementing new technologies like augmented reality some years ago, actually, and we tried to implement that in the factory, just to give a specific example, and people were not ready to use that. People that even didn't use before an iPad or, so adoption is going to be something to keep in mind as well, because this is coming now. And also another thing to add to that, and Claudia and I have been talking about how important is to combine efforts, even internally at GE, because we have our digital team, we have our experts as well on the physicals, on grid automation, but we have also our power conversion. So, and here we come to talk about Vernova, right? But is those multiple, let's say, areas that with those expertise can add and solve the problem, because you can acquire data, but then maybe monitoring inertia, right? You monitor the inertia with the digital piece, okay? Analytics. But then if you detect a problem, how do you solve it? So how do you solve it with grid forming, right? So detection and problem solving, I think is something that GE brings very well with the technologies we handle.
How have your people that you've talked, customers you've talked to here, how have they reacted to what you're sharing in terms of this? I love the idea of the stack, the flexibility of it, but at the same time you're trying to create a whole, right? You're not here to do pieces and parts, because we've done pieces and parts a long time. It hasn't worked. And the utilities are under enormous stress to change, to all of these adoptions we're talking about. How have they reacted to what you've talked about here?
They're actually very interested. So we do have a few customers that want to pilot the solution.
I hope they're good ones that the people listens to, right? Because in the utility industry, it used to be, well, as soon as this is proven technology for 20 years, I'll buy it. Mm-hmm. And now it is, I'll be first to be second.
Yeah.
Who else is doing it, right?
One.
So,
But
good.
the reality is that I believe the industry is moving, as you were saying earlier, there is no better time, or there was no better time until now. So the change is happening. I think we're seeing that in discussions with customers. 15 years ago, it was pretty stable. I would say static.
Stable and static are two different ways of saying two sides of the same coin. Very
Exactly,
good. Right.
exactly. So, but now you see the interest, you see the challenge, you see the need to, and the willingness to try. What we're bringing new this year with this next generation digital substation is the end-to-end, right? Because we've been talking about, let's pilot virtualization, let's pilot the sensors, or let's pilot the digital twin of the network. But when you bring it all together, is really the true value, and the reaction's been very good.
Excellent. And somebody in that process of let's pilot this, let's do that, somebody said, I don't like that, and was the fly in the ointment, and then the whole thing didn't work. Now, when you say, hey, we're doing this, I think you're going to get a lot more people saying, yeah, let's try this, because you don't have you're either going to do it piecemeal, that doesn't work anymore, or you're going to say, yeah, let's try a digital. So digital substation, you're going to be able to create this whole end-to-end, and you're also going to be able to have a digital version of that, right? I love that. America is changing. The world is changing, and they will get there. Yeah. Last question I need to ask you, because we're running out of time, but you mentioned earlier that you think, because GE is a global company, and these problems are global. Some countries, some localities can say, everybody will do it this way. We are the utility, we have the power. Not so in the United States. We have 50 states regulating all of the utilities, and they're crazy because they only give rate increases when they spend on capital. They're going to love your spending on capital thing, right? However, we're moving more and more. California was one of the first to move to more performance-based rates, right? So as a result of that, they're going to say, hey, is this going to help us perform better? Are we going to be able to keep the lights on? Are we going to be able to be resilient in the case of storms or fires or whatever? Are we going to be reliable? Can we maintain the existing old assets? Because you're not going to change all the assets overnight. And does your system work with the old system? There's going to be a lot of things in there, but I think you're going to find that people are going to take a chance to be the first, and then a lot of people will be the first to be second, right? So good for you on that one. Globally, let's get out of the United States. What do you see for some of the barriers to adoption, or some of the things that could be, you get one, if Putin says he wants it all over Russia, it's going all over Russia, right? You get different geopolitical things going on. What do you see? I'll start with you.
Right. Maybe if I talk about Europe, no, for me coming from Europe, the importance of, as we mentioned before, about listening to our customers worldwide is because, for example, a problem of flexibility is not the same in Spain than in US. Okay. It's not the same. In Spain, we were talking with one of our key customers recently, and they say, well, you need to understand that we are not ready for flexibility because the regulation doesn't allow that in Spain today. But by piloting this in this area, we can demonstrate, and here we talk about proof of concept, so test early, but also to demonstrate the need of changing the regulation.
Changing policy to match the technology, right?
And here we can help all together. So piloting early enough, giving the value, the results, and demonstrating that the value are high enough to say, well, the regulation has to be adapted and fast, no? And now.
Yeah, and so I would add to that, especially in Europe, but we've seen a couple of cases in the United States as well. We are working, or customers are asking us to help them put together the business case for these new solutions, and to help them with their 7-year, 10-year plan to really prove to the regulators that this is the way to go. And you did mention the performance-based compensation. It is starting to spread. Right. So it started in California. There are other states that are thinking about, Europe is thinking about it as well. So there will be a move towards performance-based. There's no longer, just the rate case.
Okay. Something very important. Sorry, I want to add to that because it's an amazing subject. No, how also funding government can help here. In Europe, for example, I saw very smart the way that if you want to apply for a call, for a governmental funding support, they oblige you somehow to collaborate. For example, if you want to solve one area on artificial intelligence, so there is a call that obliges you to work with 3 different countries, and transmission, distribution, and so there are areas that you have to meet. Right. And this is helping to break the silos, as we say, but also helping to the regulation to enter into the picture. So I think here there are a lot of things that we could do with that kind of support.
Excellent. So one of our brands, as you see behind me, is Women in Power Systems. You are now recruited. Okay, you are now Women in Power Systems, and we would love to do a profile of you in one of our other publications as we go down the road. But this has been great. This has been a delight. Claudia, thank you so much.
Pleasure
it's brilliant.
to
Claudia, it's brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you
We
so
appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
This has been an APC Technologies production, and we thank you for joining us. Our sponsors have been H2 Scan and Distributech. And of course, the communities of APC Technologies, which is Transform Technology, Power Systems Technology, Green Energy Technology, and Women in Power Systems. So thank you.